Have you ever sat in a quiet room and felt the weight of everything you've ever done wrong? Like the silence itself is pressing down on your chest, louder than any voice could be. Maybe you avoid those moments of stillness because they bring up memories you wish you could forget. The mistakes, the prayers unanswered, the times you felt too broken to even speak to God. But what if I told you that silence isn't punishment? What if it's not God's way of turning away from you, but His way of drawing near, pursuing you through the stillness? Sometimes the loudest cries are heard, not in words, but in the quiet spaces of our hearts. You might carry shame like a heavy cloak, a weight that tells you you're unworthy, that your past has disqualified you from the hope you long for. Maybe you believe God's forgiveness is something you still have to earn, or worse, something He hasn't yet granted. But here's the truth. God's forgiveness is not delayed. It's not waiting for the right moment, or for you to fix yourself first. It's already given freely, fully, completely. You are not forgotten. You are not passed over. You are forgiven. Tonight, if you're listening with a heart full of doubt, hear this whisper carried on the breeze of heaven. Your name is called with love. Your sins are buried beneath grace. And the God who made the stars is gently reminding you, you are still His child. So let's lean into that divine disruption, that sacred interruption of guilt and silence, and step together into the freedom that has been waiting for you all along. Have you ever caught yourself scrolling through old messages, feeling a sudden stab of regret? Maybe a text you sent years ago that you wish you could take back. Or perhaps you know the ache of silence in your own prayer life, a quiet abandonment. After a painful decision or mistake, there's a weight that follows us home, that clings to our hearts in the darkest moments. Guilt. It whispers that we are failures, that we don't deserve mercy, that we are somehow beyond repair. Take Peter, for example, the disciple who boldly declared loyalty to Jesus, but then denied Him 3 times before the rooster crowed. Imagine that moment, the crushing shame flooding his soul, the unbearable guilt that must have pressed on his chest like a stone. Peter's story is not just about failure, it's about what happens after failure. When Jesus looked Peter in the eye, it wasn't condemnation that met him. It was love, restoration, grace. In John 21, Jesus asks Peter, "Do you love me?" 3 times, matching Peter's 3 denials. Jesus gives him a chance to recommit, to step back into the calling he once tried to run from. This was not a simple forgive and forget. It was a sacred restoration, a reminder that failure does not erase God's purpose for you. Maybe you feel like Peter, ashamed, afraid to face what you've done. But know this, the same voice that once called Peter is calling you now. It's the voice of mercy, patient and tender, saying, "Come back. You are loved. You are forgiven. The guilt you carry does not define you. It does not hold the final word. What defines you is the grace that pursues you relentlessly, even when you've turned away." So, when the night feels heavy and your past mistakes shout the loudest, remember Peter's story. Remember that even in your darkest moments, God's love is reaching for you, ready to restore, to heal, and to set you free. Your story is not over. It's only just beginning. There's a secret burden many carry, the kind of shame that hides in shadow, the sins too painful to name out loud. Maybe it's a mistake that feels too big, too ugly, too far gone to be forgiven. Maybe it's the feeling that if others knew the truth, they'd turn away. Remember the woman caught in adultery, dragged before Jesus by a crowd ready to condemn her. Her guilt was public, raw, and unforgiving. But Jesus did something unexpected. Instead of shouting judgment, He knelt down and began writing in the sand. What was He writing? We don't know. But what we do know is that He wasn't joining the crowd. He wasn't condemning her. He was rewriting her story, In that moment, Jesus looked beyond her sin and saw her heart. He saw the pain and fear behind the shame, and instead of condemning, he offered protection. Let the one without sin cast the first stone. One by one, her accusers slipped away, leaving only Jesus and her alone. And then he said, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" "No one, Lord." "Then neither do I condemn you. Go now and leave your life of sin." Grace doesn't ignore sin. It's not blind to it. But grace silences the condemning voices that scream louder than God's love. Maybe you feel like this woman, cornered by shame, afraid that your story is finished. But hear this: Jesus knows. He knows your failures, your hidden hurts, your darkest mistakes, and he still stays. He stands with you in the quiet, the shame, and the fear. Not as a judge, but as a shield. You don't have to carry your guilt alone anymore. The one who sees it all also carries it for you and invites you to step into freedom. Grace is louder than guilt. Love is stronger than shame. And your story is still being rewritten. Sometimes the silence is deafening. You pray and wait, but God seems distant. The silence feels like rejection, like you've lost your place in his heart. But what if the silence isn't what you think? Look at Job, not the perfect man of patience we often imagine, but a man of deep confusion and raw honesty. Job did not quietly accept his suffering. He cried out, questioned, even accused God. Job's silence wasn't submission. It was a sacred wrestling match with God. And God met him there, not in silence, but in the whirlwind. This tells us something important. God is not afraid of your questions. He's not threatened by your doubts or your anger. His silence is not absence. It's often the space where something deeper is being prepared. Maybe God is working behind the scenes in ways you can't yet see. Maybe the silence is his way of inviting you to lean deeper, to prepare your heart for a new revelation. Don't be afraid to bring your pain and confusion to God. Let your questions be a bridge, not a barrier. The silence isn't rejection. It's often a sacred pause, a divine preparation for the next step of your journey. You are not alone in your silence. God's presence is with you, even when you don't hear it. Hold on to hope. The whisper will come again. There is a quiet power in tears. Think of Hannah, barren, heartbroken, mocked by those around her. She sat before God, weeping in silence, pouring out a sorrow too deep for words. Her tears were not unnoticed. God counts every tear, every whispered prayer, every tear-stained moment when no one else is watching. Maybe you've cried alone in your room, ashamed that your pain feels invisible or too messy to share. Maybe your prayers feel unanswered, your heart too broken for hope. But here's the sacred truth: your tears are reaching heaven. Hannah's story reminds us that even in the quietest, most private moments of sorrow, God is listening. Her silent prayer moved heaven, opening the door for a miracle. Your tears are not wasted. They are prayers in disguise. God is tender to the brokenhearted. He draws near to those crushed in spirit. So when the weight of grief feels unbearable, and your soul feels raw, know this: your tear-stained prayers are powerful. They are heard, they are held. And just like Hannah, your season of waiting will not be in vain. On the cross, Jesus spoke words that changed everything. "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Imagine the weight of those words. Forgiveness spoken in the midst of agony and betrayal, and beside him, a thief dying, guilty and out of time. Yet in that moment, Jesus extended grace, instantly forgiving the one who had nothing to offer but honesty. The thief's story shows us something vital. Forgiveness isn't something you earn. It isn't a prize for perfection or a reward for good behavior. It is a gift given before you even ask, before you even believe you deserve it. you are not on a path to earn forgiveness. You are stepping into a river where forgiveness has already been poured out. Maybe you feel like the thief, broken, ashamed, afraid it's too late. But Jesus' words remind us, it's never too late. The cross is the greatest love story ever, told a love that reaches into the darkest places and says, you are forgiven. That forgiveness is for you. Right now, no matter what you've done, no matter how far you've fallen, Jesus' grace meets you where you are. So take a deep breath. Step into the mercy waiting for you. You don't have to carry your guilt any longer. Forgiveness came first, and it came for you. In Hebrew, the word kafir means to cover or to atone, to place a covering over sin, to restore a broken relationship. This idea was central to ancient Israel's sacrificial system, especially on Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. Once a year, the people confessed their sins, and the high priest offered a sacrifice to cover those sins, a temporary bridge between a holy God and a fallen people. But this system pointed forward to something greater, the once and for sacrifice of Jesus. Jesus didn't just cover sin, he took it on himself, completely and forever. His death shattered the old system of guilt and shame, replacing it with a covenant of grace, lavish, unearned, unstoppable. In the first century, hearing that Jesus forgave sinners like the thief on the cross, the adulterous woman, or even Peter after his denial, would have shocked listeners. It defied every expectation of justice and religious tradition. God's mercy has never been logical or earned. It has always been lavish, a gift that flows from a heart desperate to heal and restore. We live in a culture that often confuses guilt with grace, shame with forgiveness. But the kingdom of God flips this upside down. You don't have to prove yourself or carry your shame forever. Grace is your new reality, a new covenant written not on tablets of stone, but on hearts made alive by love. There are lies that whisper in your ear when you feel unworthy. I have to fix myself first. God's love is for the clean, not the broken. I'll never be the same again. These lies steal your hope and chain you to guilt, but the truth is different. God meets us in the mud, not on the mountaintop. He meets us in our brokenness, in our mess, in our questions and doubts. Forgiveness is not a reward for good behavior, it's the starting line of a new journey. You don't have to be perfect to receive grace. You just have to come as you are. Healing takes time, and that's okay. Forgiveness is instant, but healing is a process. Guilt is a thief that steals your peace. Grace is a healer that restores your soul. Let go of the lies that hold you captive. Step into the truth that sets you free. You are loved. You are forgiven. You are enough. And that truth will carry you through every storm. Sometimes you wonder, am I too far gone? Has God given up on me? You might ask yourself, what if God's disappointed in me? Or why do I feel forgiven but not free? Or even, how do I forgive myself? These questions come from a place of deep pain and longing, but the Bible is full of stories of people who felt exactly the same way. People like Paul, who once persecuted Christians but became one of the greatest apostles. God doesn't give up on you. Not now. Not ever. When Paul said, while we were still sinners, Christ died for us, Romans 5-8. He wasn't talking about people who had it all together. He was talking about people just like you and me, broken, hurting, searching for hope. Feeling forgiven but not free is normal. Freedom often comes slowly, like a sunrise breaking through the night, and forgiving yourself is part of that journey. Remember, forgiveness is a gift you accept, not a burden you earn. If God can use a man like Paul, he is not done with you. You are not too far gone. You are exactly where you need to be at the beginning of a beautiful new story. Close your eyes for a moment and listen. Can you hear it? A whisper from heaven, soft but sure. Child, why are you still bleeding over wounds I already healed? Why are you still weeping over sins I already buried? This is not a call to carry your guilt any longer. It's an invitation to lay down the heavy burden you've been carrying in secret. You don't have to carry it. You are already forgiven. Not someday, not if you change, but right now. So let this truth settle deep into your heart. Let the weight lift from your shoulders. You are free. If this message has touched you, type these words in the comments. Lord, I receive your forgiveness. And if you know someone silently drowning in guilt, share this with them today. You may be the answer to their prayers, the light that reminds them they are not alone. Hope is alive, grace is near, and your story is still being written. Full of mercy, full of love, full of new beginnings. Lay it down. You are already forgiven.